Hello, this is Tim Nichols. In previous discussions, we've talked about bringing on an associate, particularly bringing on an associate that is on partner track. But today, let's talk about things maybe from the negative standpoint. That is, why do partnerships fail? What are the top 3 reasons why a partnership between two friends ends up being an ugly business divorce? I use the word divorce because really, that's what a business partnership is a marriage. And when it ends, it has a lot of the same characteristics as a divorce. And during the partnership, the same dynamics that make for a good marriage make for a good partnership. But sadly, when partnerships fail, and you've seen it and I have too, the same kind of things happen. People lose friends. People lose staff, they lose patience, they lose a piece of themselves that sometimes takes years to recover, financially, emotionally. So, what are the 3 reasons that partnerships fail, and what can we do to avoid them? I think the number 1 reason why a partnership fails is the same reason why a marriage fails. And that is selfishness. Now, selfishness causes you to always think about me and never about the we. Selfishness will make you start grabbing the golden eggs and neglect the goose that is laying them. So selfishness is like having 2 selfish partners in a marriage, or 2 selfish partners in a practice. It's like having 2 ticks and no dog. So, what's behind the selfishness? Well, selfishness really considers yourself only, of course, and neglects other things. But selfishness becomes the door through which so many other negative emotions enter. Negative emotions like envy and jealousy and suspicion. And when you begin to always question the motives of someone else, and bitterness and jealousy enter into that, it becomes a cancer that eats away at the goodwill that has to govern human relationships, particularly marriages between a man and a woman or 2 business partners. So, there has to be a great deal of emotional honesty, doesn't there? Has to be a great deal of tolerance and acceptance, a great deal of work on the whole person that you are, so that you can contribute appropriately to the partnership or to all human relationships. So, as we think about how many hours we need for our continuing education for our professional license, get your CE hours for your soul. Make sure that you emotionally and intellectually are prepared to do what it takes to maintain a good relationship with your business partner. And of course, the second thing that falls into that is the communication. Now, communication is a very broad topic. It's a big bucket. Of course, we have to be on the same page and share the same ideas about the vision of the practice. We've talked about that in previous sessions. The mission of the practice, how it's going to achieve its vision, the goals that are appropriate for that along the way. And then there's a host of operational kind of issues. Who has the responsibility for decisions, and what are the expectations that I have of my partner as far as the time commitment, as far as the responsibilities, various things, everything from training staff to hiring staff to taking out the garbage. I mean, who's responsible for all of these things? So, and how will we keep each other accountable? Are we then communicating on a consistent and a regular basis that allows us to make sure we stay on that same page and have everything in common that we need to? And as we make these decisions together, is our input respected? Is our input then valued? So that even if one partner is the decision maker, do they seek the input and see and value the other person's ideas about things. So communication is so very, very important in any relationship, certainly a partnership. And then the third thing I think that causes so many partnerships to fail is that the whole compensation plan was poorly thought out. And that if you go into a partnership and say, well, we're just going to split everything 50-50, eventually what happens, is that one person does more work than the other. The person who is doing less work loves the arrangement because they're well compensated and they're not having to work that hard for it. But the person who is doing the hard work begins to feel in some way used, and bitterness enters into that and things fall apart. So I think the only thing that makes sense is some type of caveman economics where you eat what you kill and you are compensated based on what you are bringing to the practice. Of course, there can be other shared type compensations, other arrangements, but this is where you really need to seek excellent advice in structuring the agreement. And partnerships fail because they don't have well-structured, well-thought-out agreements. They don't communicate about them, and they don't really have their partnership mentality where they're willing to get into a relationship in which they will share everything about that business with one another. So partnerships are wonderful. I think the positive things that they bring to the table, the sharing of that patient experience, but also the practice experience, someone to bounce ideas off of there. The list goes on and on and on, the good things of the partnership. But be aware that there are some pitfalls. Plan for them. Put your thinking cap on first and enter into that partnership with the right kind of mindset. Hope that helps. Thanks.